ABC News just broke some brutal legal news about Donald Trump. ABC got their hands on transcripts of audio notes from Trump's former lead attorney, Evan Corcoran. Those audio notes are a key piece of evidence in the government's case against Donald Trump in the classified documents case. And those audio notes are under seal, so any new details about them is huge. And what we found out today is damning for Donald Trump. I'll go over the whole story right now. Donald Trump's criminal trial for the classified documents case should have started a long time ago. Judge Aileen Cannon has managed to stall the trial by holding hearing after hearing, considering motion after motion, and then delaying her responses to any of this stuff forever. And now we're at a point where she is considering throwing out one of the government's key pieces of evidence, audio recordings from Trump's former lead attorney, Evan Corcoran. This guy, Evan Corcoran, took copious notes after his meetings with Donald Trump. He probably was trying to cover himself because he knows that Donald Trump will throw anybody under the bus. Evan Corcoran played a key role in the classified documents case because he was the guy who actually went through the boxes to try to prove that Donald Trump didn't have any other classified documents. But in the end, Donald Trump duped his own lawyer. And that is a key part of the government's case. Listen to how ABC News describes the importance of Evan Corcoran's notes in this case.
Catherine, what can you tell us about these transcripts and how they're playing a role in this case?
Well, these notes have been central to the special counsel's investigation since really the very beginning of it. To take you back a little bit, they have to do with Trump's former lead lawyer on the case, Evan Corcoran. There was litigation under seal in D.C. about piercing attorney-client privilege so that he could then speak to the grand jury and provide notes. Now, the notes are significant. They're not public. They're under seal. We've been able to review the notes and essentially report what they've said, but they're central to the allegations by the special counsel's office. The allegations that Trump was trying to hide classified documents at his estate, that he was trying to mislead his lawyer, Evan Corcoran, at the time, and that he was trying to obstruct the government's investigation.
Remember, this case is about obstruction of an investigation. A lot of times people will get caught up in, were the documents classified? Were they not classified? Did Donald Trump declassify them? None of that matters. What matters is that Donald Trump obstructed the recovery of these documents by the government. The government should have never had to ask for them in the first place. Donald Trump should have voluntarily turned over all these documents to the government once he realized, hey, the Presidential Records Act doesn't cover me taking home classified documents. That's not what it's for. But it's not just the government that Donald Trump was trying to pull a fast one on. He tricked his own lawyers as part of his criminal scheme. And now new details have been revealed that connect Trump directly to the crime and prove that he knew what he was doing was illegal. Listen to this.
What we're learning here, Diana, and what's hugely significant, frankly, is the fact that, according to his lawyer and the notes that his lawyer took, that Trump acknowledged that there would be some sort of criminal liability if he complied with this subpoena to hand back to the government those classified documents. Essentially, an admission that he may believe that he actually had done something wrong here. Of course, he ended up not complying with the subpoena, and that is why he's charged here. But we're learning more information, at least from these notes.
So to get into some more details, 2 months before the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago, Trump's lead attorney, Evan Corcoran, sat down for a meeting with him. And in that meeting, Donald Trump talked about how his legal problems are just because of his political enemies. And he was reluctant to let his lawyers go through those boxes to look for classified documents. And most importantly, it appears that Donald Trump was trying to corrupt his lawyers to engage in the scheme to allow him to hold on to those classified documents illegally. Here's a quote from the transcript of Evan Corcoran's audio notes from that meeting. He raised a question as to, if we gave them additional documents now, would they, the Department of Justice, come back and say, well, why did you withhold them and try to use that as a basis for criminal liability or to make him look bad in the press? Well, look, isn't it better if there are no documents? Trump also asked his attorneys after raising concerns about prosecutors opening up new fronts against him, according to Corcoran's notes. It's wild to hear Donald Trump play the victim, even to his own lawyers, in the privacy of his office. You'd think Donald Trump would just drop the act, but he must really embody this victim complex and tells it to anybody that's in front of him. Evan Corcoran's notes describe Trump saying all sorts of wild things. Listen to this. And the ABC News article continues. Corcoran recalled that he tried to steer the conversation back to the boxes and warned the former president about the legal consequences of not complying with the subpoena. Well, what happens if we just don't respond at all or don't play ball with them? Trump asked. Well, there's a prospect that they could go to a judge and get a search warrant, and that they could arrive here and get a search warrant. According to Corcoran, Trump repeatedly asked during their meeting if it would be better if we just told them we don't have anything here. That is something, man. Trump trying to enlist his own lawyers in the crime of obstructing justice and holding on to these classified documents. And I have to ask why. That has not been explained yet. People have talked about what he did, what happened, why he's being pursued, etc. But there's been no good explanation given for why Donald Trump held on to these classified documents. Closest we've gotten is people like his former national security advisor, John Bolton, stating that Donald Trump just liked to collect shiny things. But I don't buy that. I think there's some reason why Donald Trump held on to these documents, and I'll let you guys speculate about what that is. I think Donald Trump is always doing things for himself, and it's either money or having some sort of material to hang over someone's head to blackmail them. I don't know, but there's definitely not a good reason for why Donald Trump held on to these documents. The article then goes on to talk about what happened later in that same exact meeting that I just talked about. Later in the afternoon on May 23rd, 2022, Corcoran and Little met with Trump in a small library at Mar-a-Lago, ditching their phones outside the room at the direction of the former president, according to Corcoran. Sitting feet from Trump across a table, Corcoran said Trump asked about the legal consequences for complying with the subpoena, while cautioning that prosecutors really wanted to get him any way they could. Trump blamed the investigation on his political enemies, who wanted to weaken him and get him not to run for president. Trump said he was just trying to understand what the best way was to respond to the investigations, and claimed that prosecutors would keep opening up new fronts against him. According to Corcoran's notes, Trump expressed concerns that returning additional documents following the subpoena could become the basis for criminal liability. He asked again. He said, well, look, isn't it better if there are no documents? Corcoran noted. Corcoran added that during their meeting, Trump repeatedly recounted that a lawyer for Hillary Clinton deleted all of her emails, so she didn't get into any trouble. He was great. He did a great job, Trump told the lawyers, according to the notes. So clearly, Donald Trump is aware that he's done something wrong and he could be held criminally liable for it. But he wants the whole thing to disappear. That's not how things work. Prosecutors allege that during the meetings with his attorneys, Trump attempted to test Corcoran's receptiveness to evading the subpoena, though the meeting concluded with the two setting a plan for Corcoran to return to Mar-a-Lago to search through the boxes for documents responsive to the subpoena. Look, so if I'm hearing you right, what you want is to come back and have me or somebody go through and find get any classified documents if there are any. That sounds like that's the plan you want, is it? Trump said, repeating the plan multiple times according to the notes. We will figure this out. Go through the documents. If we got any classified stuff, get it to the DOJ, Trump said, according to the notes. Prosecutors allege that Corcoran's rebuff to Trump's suggestion resulted in the former president adopting a different plan, deceiving his attorney by having his trusted body man and co-defendant Walt Nauta move the boxes from the storage room in Mar-a-Lago to prevent Corcoran from conducting a complete search. So there it is. Trump tried to get his lawyer to destroy the evidence and make the documents disappear, and when Evan Corcoran refused to play along, Trump came up with another plan to trick his own lawyer by having him and his body man go through the boxes to take out anything bad, return the boxes, and say, that's everything, you can go through it now, and then their lawyer would be used as a pawn in his criminal scheme to deceive the government. Absolutely disgusting behavior from the former president of the United States. And this is why I say it's an open and shut case against Donald Trump when it comes to the classified documents. If only the trial can begin. But Judge Aileen Cannon is doing everything she can to stall so that Trump has a chance of winning the presidency and then dismissing the charges against him. But that's not going to happen. We're going to make sure this case goes forward. We're going to make sure Donald Trump is held accountable. Joe Biden will win in November, and the DOJ will continue their pursuit of Donald Trump.